Mark and I wish to welcome you all to this one-off, but hopefully one of many more to come, webinar on the actual footprint of travel and tourism product, which we are all bound to create on a daily basis in the businesses we run. Today's speakers, as you have seen in the emails that I've been sending you about, pestering you about, it's me, Dolores Semeraro. I'm originally from Italy, and I work in the space as a keynote speaker and trainer in the space of tourism, travel, and hospitality, particularly on the topics of sustainable marketing and marketing strategies for the tourism industry. Mark, few words from you. Thank you so much for being my co-presenter today.
Hello. Hi, I'm Mark. I'm based in the UK. I'll give a little bit more of an intro, but basically I'm a technology guy that moved into travel and I'm super keen on sustainability, on ensuring that destinations remain for the future and how we think about technology, sustainability and our products, and hence why I'm here today. So thank you, Dolores.
So today during the webinar, we are going to have a close look at some of the sustainable travel trends that we can no longer ignore. But also we will start with the 3D of sustainable tourism, the desires of travelers, the demands they make, and the data that we all need to consider. The trends, of course, is something that everyone kind of like from mega streams, they all come to know from. And in many cases, it's nothing new. It's not something we don't know, but we're going to look into some of the details and some of the behind the scenes of these trends. And then Mark will come in with a fantastic presentation on how travel experiences have a profound impact when it comes to carbon footprint, and how do we mitigate that impact. So as we all are bound to create authentic experiences for our clients, we're going to look at what exactly does that mean when it comes to impact. Let's begin with the 3D of sustainable travel. Tourism, desires, data, desire, demand, and data. Why 3D? You know, when something is 3D, it's three-dimensional. It means that it's kind of like all over us. And that is true. And not for a coincidence, I wanted to choose this photo to begin with, because sustainable travel and sustainable tourism, it is about a kind of a burden on everybody's shoulder today. Everybody has this responsibility, but somehow, whether they are the operators or the travelers, it's still unclear how to go about it. Some are more clear than others. And today we hope to offer a bit more clarity moving forward. When it comes to desires of travelers to travel sustainably, it is an underlying dilemma between cost and conscious. So travelers today feel potentially forced to having to choose between being mindful and responsible traveler and sustainable travel versus cutting cost. So money and responsibility, they are going side by side, and sometimes they are one versus the other, one or the other. 74% of travelers say they must act now. They feel the urge of acting, whether what about it, they are not clear, but they think that they have to do something about it. 76% of travelers have voiced their willingness to travel more sustainably. However, only 43% are then willing to pay more. And of this 43%, if we move into the next slide, it is with great concern that I see that half of them, they still consider traveling sustainably too expensive. And if travelers are perceiving sustainable travel as an expensive way of travel, it is our responsibility and duty, it also in terms of the way we develop our business, is to break down that myth, you know, to demystify this belief and make sure, even thanks to the tools that Mark provides with Partnet Zero, that to travel sustainably, it's not a type of travel, it becomes the travel. In fact, we want to help travelers to come out of this dilemma. And these are the 4 points that are really affecting travelers' choices when they make their demands today. Sustainable travel dilemma. Do I travel sustainably? Do I not? How much does it cost? And do I have other expenses to cover? Do I want to invest my money or use my money to travel responsibly? Or do I have bills to pay? There's a disconnect between the impact that sustainable travel actually have and the action that the travelers are empowered to take. Which means when there is a disconnect, it means that there is no a clear communication for travelers to understand how does their travel impact the planet, the people that they encounter, the places they visit. And 44% of the respondents to those surveys, they actually voiced the fact that they are confused about where to find sustainable options. This to me calls for an opportunity. It calls for an opportunity to offer more and more information about what it means to travel sustainably. Literally spell it out for travelers. Don't be afraid to speak plainly, like kindergarten even, because sometimes when the talk around sustainable travel becomes too technical, travelers disconnect and they disengage with the complexity of the subject. We've also noticed that more and more travelers are taking their good, responsible eco habits, so to call, into their travel habits. So whatever they do at home, they now do it when they travel. It's imperative to know your travelers first, of course, but also to understand what is it that they do on a daily basis at home that you can help them continue on when they travel with you or when they travel through your travel products. And these two elements that I've seen recurring across all the surveys and reports that matter to travelers today. Impact. What is the impact of their travelers, of their travels? Travelers are asking themselves, what do I do? What do I do wrong? And how can I make it right? So it is our opportunity to offer them solutions to make it right. In that sense, to encourage them to travel in a regenerative way. We were just talking about Austria. When we look at the data of sustainable travel, the latest report of Euromonitors lists amongst the top 20 sustainable countries, only one country is not in Europe, Uruguay. So the top 20 most sustainable countries, as you can see, the top 3, Sweden, Finland, and Austria. Moving up, Estonia. Estonia is developing even more than Slovenia. Slovenia has brought that flag high, right? Being always the advocate of sustainable travel, green travel. They make it like their own narrative. But Estonia is coming up strongly, but also we see other destinations coming in, like Portugal, Romania, the East Europe is coming in very, very strongly, because what they understand is that if they have to build a strong tourism legacy, they have to start with the right foot. Why am I putting these cities in the slide for you? Because if any of your target clients are residing in any of these 20 countries, any of these citizens will be 10, 20, 100% more likely to listen to sustainable travel narrative and to sustainable travel options. The 4 mega trends that everybody knows, of course, reconfirmed for 2023 are ecotourism, experiential travel, digital nomadism, and wellness travel. What we want to do is to make sure that when we design sustainable travel products, we encourage our clients to embrace a more public outlook of transport. So let's break it down to travelers saying, look, if you're traveling by bus in Lisbon to go from place A to place B, it's not bad. It's not unsafe. It's not considered less luxurious. It's actually considered an experience in Portugal as well. But again, let's go down to details and incorporate in ecotourism where does ecotourism fails? Experiential travel, everybody wants to create authentic experiences. Yes, in fact, the emerging of new destinations, like this rise of emerging destinations, particularly in South America, we need to ask ourselves, are these countries ready to process the impact that tourism will have on them? Because it's great to send people to unspoiled destination, but are the unspoiled destination called so for a reason? So what we need to ask ourselves within this mega trend is the destination where I'm sending my client ready to process and mitigate the impact that these people are going to have on their place? Digital nomadism, speak by experience. I'm connecting from right now Sardinia, where I'm currently slow traveling by land. I haven't taken a plane in months. I work from everywhere. And I'm pleased to see that more than 50 countries nowadays are offering digital nomad visa. What does that mean? It means that people are no longer bound to their offices. And I love to quote Mark here, where he said that what you bring to your, Mark, help me out with that quote here, because I really, really loved it. It's your brain that you bring to work, right? Not your.
That's right.
What is it?
Yeah. So the notion of a digital nomad is that work is what you do and not where you go.
Exactly. I love that quote on that. And lastly, wellness travel, which obviously becomes imperative, and it's often associated with many type of travel nowadays. Leading formula of wellness travel nowadays is the retreat. Everything is a retreat. To detoxify, to relax, to excite, to entertain, to unwind, to get calm, to get excited. Everything is a retreat today. So let's look into that, and let's look at how we can tap into this mega trend. The life cycle of the travel product we create, from creation, when it's done and created and you think it's ready, when you promote it, when you sell it, when your clients are using it, when they're done with it and becomes obsolete, and then when they dispose of it. These 5 phases belong to the life cycle of a travel product. What we would like to focus on today is the impact that each of these phases has in however we work, in however we create this travel product, so that then we move into creating more sustainable travel product. We create sustainably. And these are the elements that emerge when it comes to impact of each single phase. So the creation phase of a travel product could be a tour, could be an excursion, could be a hotel package. We utilize these resources. We consider the waste. There is a pollution element, an emission at the creation stage. At the promoting stage, we look at the creating a sense of urgency into our clients. We want our travel products to be appealing to them. We look into the pricing. We look into the way they buy. They buy online, they buy physically, they come into my agency, they call me. The way they utilize it, what's the quality level, how practical are our product, how long lasting are they made to last for a season, are they special offers, are they time bound, or are they evergreen? When the travel product is used and then it becomes obsolete, it becomes unusable, how do we replace it? How do we plan that obsolescence? And how do we feel, how do we perceive that obsolescence? How our clients feel like, oh, this is so last year, or our clients still feel like, oh, this is an old timer. This is something that you can book all the times, like that. And when you dispose of it, you would say, how do I dispose of travel product? It's something that really doesn't exist per se. Yes, but your people are traveling. They are contributing to waste. They are creating waste that goes to landfill, that perhaps has or has not a recycle process. So the impact on people, resources, our planet, our ecosystem, our finances is tremendous. How do we create a sustainable marketing thinking where marketing is not just a promotional machine? Marketing, sustainable marketing, is what co-creates the travel product to make it sustainable to begin with. And in all the areas of a travel product creation, all the phases that we have just seen before, instead of falling into the trap of creating a negative impact, we co-create positive impact by looking into every single phase of our creation of travel products. The sustainable marketing thinking, it's a process. We reach that sustainable marketing thinking by embracing every phase of creation, whether it's in the beginning, in the middle, in the consumption, in the disposal. When we embrace it as whole and we approach it from a holistic point of view, we develop a sustainable marketing thinking that will impact the way we develop travel product moving forward. Get in touch moving forward if you want to know more about how to develop that sustainable marketing thinking, whether it's on a webinar mode, on a workshop mode, and in a online course for you or for your team. I hope that this short overview of trends, desires, demands, and how do we develop a sustainable marketing thinking has helped you to understand how Mark comes in now to talk about mitigation and how to take action upon it. So without further ado, I head over to Mark for his presentation, which is absolutely stunning.
Hello, everybody. My name's Mark, as you know. I've spent 20 years working within technologies and platforms. I left that business in 2018, 2019, and developed a principal tour operator business. So you'll be pleased to know that I'm not just going to talk to you about technology and about data. I do understand travel and what you guys need to do. I'm also the co-owner and chief commercial officer of a destination management company. And in 2021, that experience of the principal tour operator and the DMC and thinking about our sustainability, thinking about my love for travel, platforms and sustainability led us to found Net Zero. So there's some kind of good news and some bad news here. So that there's lots of red on this screen, and it tells us that CO2 emissions by 2030 are going to increase. It tells us that international and domestic arrivals are going to increase. Now, interestingly, that stat is driven by domestic travel. We are seeing a significant seismic shift, particularly within Europe and EMEA in terms of domestic travel, which we're seeing doubling. We're seeing that transport emissions will continue to be a significant contributor to all man-made emissions. And we're seeing that tourism-related emissions will continue to represent a significant part of overall global emissions. So the good news is we're all in a growth industry, right? And that's where we want to be, where we're here because we want to promote destinations, we want to make sales, we want people to travel. Now, this is where I'm perhaps a slightly different human being in that I'm on a sustainability call. And I genuinely believe that a human being that can afford to travel on a ferry should go around the ocean. I genuinely believe a human being that can afford to charter a super yacht would go around the ocean. They're two different travelers that have the same goal, and it doesn't necessarily mean that the way that they travel is bad. It means that we as an industry and as a collective need to understand the difference between being on a ferry, which is bad, and being on a super yacht, which is really bad. But both of them are good, right? Because that's how the world turns and that's how we'll survive. And ordinarily, when I have a cold meeting with somebody to introduce Net Zero, and they say, we're all good, I don't want to do it. I say, why not? And they say, it's too complex, I don't understand it. They say, we're too small. This is, Deborah, I think you'd mentioned Australia, right? This is where people say, no, 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 the Intrepid Travel do this and they do it really well and we could never compete. Or they say, actually, the big airline does it and we don't have the manpower or the staff. They're really worried that it's too expensive. And to be honest, they're really busy building their business, making sales, and actually employing people, paying their mortgages and keeping the lights on. And that's fine. But all four of these things are a myth and they're a barrier to entry that we want to dispel. Even if we look at the World Tourism Organization, by their own admission, there's limited public information on CO2 emissions by tourism businesses to their customers. So therefore, we're not telling people about what they're purchasing. We're not telling them what we're doing about it. We're not shouting about the benefits of travel. And on the flip side, how travel can benefit the destinations and the economies that we're going to, as well as the planet. So a picture tells 1,000 words, and there's a whole load of pictures here. So you could be a DMC, you could be a operator, you could be in mines, you could be in entertaining, you could be in business travel. I guarantee you, you will use international flights, domestic flights, buses, coaches, trains, planes, automobiles, ferries, boats, events, spaces. You will move multiple packs. You will figure that distance. You'll figure the duration. You'll do a 7-day, a 10-day, a 21-day. You'll do a multi-day. You'll do a Thailand, Vietnam, Bali, Laos. You'll do Australia, New Zealand. You'll do Spain, Portugal. Everything on that slide, which there's actually not a lot. There's what, 4, 8, 12, 16, not too many components. All of them. And in our initial introduction, Victoria, Maria, I got the sense that you guys are data driven. You are science based, which is great. And behind all of these elements is additional data and science. So we could say you have an international flight. Yes, you do. But on international flights, there are 4 permutations of each cabin. You can fly economy, you can fly premium, you can buy business, you can fly first. Flying first is not an issue in comparison to somebody flying economy, as long as you let your first class passenger know that they're taking up 5 times more space than the guy or girl in economy. Therefore, they've got 5 times the impact. That's not a bad thing. It's their right. It's good revenue. Airlines make profit by selling first. If we look at food and beverage, ordinarily as human beings, we have breakfast, lunch, dinner, supper. You may be vegetarian, you may be vegan, you may eat meat. But all of those elements and all of those permutations have a different output. And I've flagged alcohol. And alcohol may not seem a particularly bad thing in terms of sustainability or impact. But it's really bad if you work in events and you have 3,000 delegates that all go to the Wynn Casino in Las Vegas, which amazingly is a city on your slide, Dolores, has been a green city, and you give 3,000 people a Bellini. Suddenly this has an impact. Suddenly this has a contribution. And then, of course, a big permutation, as an example, is hotel data. And hotels is very, very regional specific. There is a difference between the output and impact of a bed and breakfast in Southern Ireland in comparison to a 5-star hotel in the United Arab Emirates. There's a difference between a 3-star, a 4-star, and a 5-star. So we believe that what we need to do for sustainability is to understand the data. And if we look at data, we need to ask, what can you do with that data? So at Path Net Zero, we've built a platform that makes it really, really simple for you as operators to build trips, to test your itineraries, to compare results, to adjust your product, and to take action accordingly. The problem with that is that all that data will do is inform you of decisions. Now, what you do with those decisions, we can't dictate because we don't know this, and you need to. So we say you need to know your customer, know your competition, and know your company. If you know those 3 elements aligned with the data sets that enable you to understand your products, you can build more sustainable, travel products, more sustainable futures. Now, a good example of this is know your customer and know your competition. So I'm based in the United Kingdom. I'm not too far from London. In the very, very north of our country in the UK is a city in Scotland called Glasgow. And I wondered, we all know, if I was to say to you all, type into the text box right now in the message box, which is better, flights or trains? I would say 90% of you will tell me right now it's a train. And that's true. And the data tells us that. So in our platform, I thought, I wonder what it looks like from a point of view of going from Glasgow to Barcelona on a return flight in economy in terms of CO2 impact. And it's 0.47531 tons specifically. I then thought, I wonder what happens if you were to choose to go from Glasgow to Barcelona by rail, which is the right thing to do. That's the better way to travel. And that's right. The data tells us that it's 25% of the impact of flying. So know your customer. Do you want your customer to spend 2.5 hours on a flight and pay, according to Skyscanner, between £60, £200 to do so? Or do you think you can persuade them to spend nearly £500 one way and spend over a day traveling with 5 transfers, with food, with beverage, with stop off, with transfers? So this is where we get a challenge of data versus knowing your customer and knowing your competition. So if you said to me, hi, Mark, here's my quote. It's going to take you 26 hours. It's going to cost you nearly £1,000 return, but it's the better thing for the planet. And your competitor tells me it's going to cost me 70 or 80 pounds. And it's going to take me 2.5 hours. As a consumer, who do you reckon is going to get the order? So what we say to our partners is, we're not asking or telling you to force how people travel. We're asking you to consider the impact. So give you an idea of impact in terms of what we do. So Deborah, you'd mentioned some of the stuff that you do, and you talked about gender equality and you talked about education. So we do gold standard certificates where we offset and correct the impact. Excuse me, all of the gold standard work is aligned to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, 2 of which are gender equality and education. And actually, the cost of correcting the impact of that flight is a whopping £5.70. Now, that's your choice as to what you do with that. You either tell your customer their impact is nearly half, 0.47 of a ton. You tell them you're investing on the planet in certain projects that are aligned to you at your cost, or you give them the option to pay for that cost. And it's the same with rail. The rail is massively cheaper. We already know it's 25% of the impact, therefore, broadly speaking, it's 25% of the cost. Or you think about how you measure the difference between the two, because now you understand it. Now, as an organization, you know the difference between a flight versus a train, but you know your customer and you know they want to fly, and you know your competition will beat you up if you recommend the train. So now you can maybe think about, what would I do to correct the difference? The variance between the two is 0.33828 tons. So we give you the tools and the ability to understand it. And then once you understand that, you can build trips, test itineraries, compare results, think about your customer, think about your competition, think about the company that you have, what's your supply chain. And those 2 pieces of information, and this is where data works at its very best, will allow you to take action, report, inform, vote, and continuously review what you do. And that will build desire in your customers because they will like your understanding of it. That will build demand because they understand what you're doing, and you're going to drive all of that through data. Our platform makes all of that incredibly simple. Boats, trains, planes, automobiles, food and beverage, hotels, multi-day trips, multi-tours, you name it. We give you multiple reporting tools. There's an example. The calculator is drag and drop. It makes it very, very simple, very bite-sized. So our message from Path Net Zero in a sustainability webinar is we believe everybody has the right to travel however they want to travel, wherever they want to travel, when they want to travel. It's our job as an industry to facilitate that, deliver that, because quite frankly, somebody else will if we don't, but to understand it and do it in the right way so that our planet exists for future travelers. It's quite a selfish view, right? Let's think about our business lasting 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 years. If we don't do something now, our business is going to last 10 or 20. So that's Path Net Zero. Dolores, thank you for allowing me to share. I'm going to stop sharing and hopefully that all made sense.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for sharing with us